Okay, so here's the obvious talking point for this week, and that is the attack on the Jewish organization in Boulder, Colorado, committed by a guy who was throwing Molotov cocktails and using a homemade improvised flamethrower. At least that's based on early reports. And at this point, it looks like he injured about 12 people, some severely, with burn wounds. So it turns out this particular guy just checks all of the boxes. He is an Egyptian national here illegally. He was here on a visa which expired, and he's in the country illegally, right? So he screamed "Free Palestine" when he started the attack. And the most notable thing about this incident is that it is a very bad foreboding of more of this kind of activity to come, because we're seeing a convergence and an alliance between Islamism and radical leftism. Now, Islamism is the radical element of the Islamic world. Okay, no, the vast majority of Muslims don't cause problems, right? Just like the vast majority of leftists who, maybe vote for the Democrat Party, they don't go out and shoot things up and blow things up and set things on fire, right? It's the same thing with Muslims. There's a pretty small minority among these groups that are the problem, but in a world of billions of people, right? Even a small minority of certain factions causes issues. And what we're seeing is a very scary convergence between these two groups. Now, the Palestine issue is serving as a flashpoint that these unlikely bedfellows are circling around. And make no mistake, neither of these groups cares about the plight of the Palestinians. Okay? Rather, they are latching onto this at the moment because it is a tool that helps them in their ultimate goal of toppling Western civilization. That's what this is about. So expect to see more and more of this. We saw a radical leftist who had nothing to do with, being of Middle Eastern descent or being of the Islamic religion kill a couple of Jewish embassy workers 2 weeks ago. Okay, now we see this attack. So there's going to be, unfortunately, more and more of this coming. There's going to be attacks on not only Jews, but anybody associated with that side of this debate. Okay, so bear that in mind. Avoid demonstrations that can turn hostile, that turn into clashes between these factions. And man, if you are the member of any kind of congregation, whether it be Christian, a synagogue, mosque, there's been an uptick in vandalizing and attacks on mosques as well. Primarily property crime against synagogues and mosques of late. But like any group or congregation that's religious in nature, okay, the radical left hates religion, and that's all there is to it. And the Islamists, okay, radical Islam hates Christianity, Judaism, and certainly above all else the Western world. And we're seeing a convergence of those enemies of our way of life, and we're going to see more hostility and more violence like this. So roam the earth prepared for that. Stay armed. Stay out of the places that disarm you, because this is going to be more and more of a thing. And start thinking outside the box. For instance, what you saw with this attack. Do you keep a fire extinguisher in your vehicle? There's more than gunfire that the enemies of your way of life and your freedom can use. Vehicle ramming attacks, edged weapons attacks, arson, using fire, Molotov cocktails, etc. Think through the tool set that you should have readily at your disposal, and get good at all of those, and get good at using all of those tools and know when to use them. Okay, that's it for this week. Some pretty dismal news, but prepare yourself. We're going to see more of it.